Shalom. So, as I said, this is the video about Yom Kapar, and this is just information that Yahuah has recently, like when I say recently, I mean like last week, revealed to me. And I will admit that there were two feast days that I just wasn't quite sure on what we're supposed to be doing spiritually, how we're supposed to keep them. And I just been setting aside those days and letting Yahuah guide me. And those were Yom Kapar and Shavuot, right? But I did have a little knowledge on Yom Kapar. Like, I knew it was supposed to be when it says afflict your souls, I have always taken that to mean that we are supposed to fast. And the description my email address is in the description to this channel. So if you have a deeper revelation on that, by all means, you can reach out to me. But with that being said, fasting and no work. So but I don't have a job anyway, so I've already fulfilled one of those. At least I don't have a job in Babylon. I do have cleaning clients, but I'll have those on specific days, and I don't really consider that a job anyway. But either way, off subject, a whole bunch of rambling. I just said that to say, like, I had a basic understanding, but Yahuah took me a little bit deeper. So that's what I'm going to share with you. Also, whenever Yahuah shows me something more than what I already knew, I have the tendency to get extremely excited. So I'm going to do my best to maintain my composure and talk at a slower rate than I normally do, to make sure that I get this out the way it's supposed to be gotten out and that I don't miss anything. So please bear with me. Okay. So I'm going to read Leviticus 23, 26 to 32, because that is where it talks about Yom Kapar in the law, the book of the law. And it reads, "And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Also on the 10th day of this 7th month is Yom Kapar. It shall be a Kadash assembly unto you, and you shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuah. And you shall do no work in that same day, for it is Yom Kapar, to make an atonement for you before Yahuah Eluah. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that does any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Shabbat of rest, and you shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at evening. From evening until evening shall you celebrate your Shabbat." So the first and foremost, I just want to point out verse 32, where it says that we just read that from the evening of the 9th day to the next evening, which would be the evening of the 10th day. The 10th day is the day that Yom Kapar is to be observed on. And Yahuah has said it through his prophet Moshe, that day is from evening to evening on the 9th day to evening on the 10th day. I'm just pointing this out because I know that is one of the things that is argued about. When the day starts. Well, Yahuah has established, at least for this, that it's from evening to evening on the 9th day to evening on the 10th day. Okay. So a few things. I did see that it says afflict your souls again. I always take that to mean fasting. If you have a deeper meaning, I've already invited you to come talk to me in my email. And I would love to hear what you have to say. Doesn't mean I'm going to necessarily agree, because I'm going to take it to Yahuah, and if Yahuah shows me something different, that's one thing, but I am always open to hear anything. The other thing is no work. So we're not supposed to do any work. We're supposed to afflict our souls. It is a Kadash assembly unto you, and sometimes that assembly is just you and whoever you live with. If you have a bigger assembly with other people, other families, then that's fine. And it's to be kept as a statute throughout all of our generations and all of our dwellings forever, right? So this is what Yahuah has show me. Okay, I'm gonna read it to you almost verbatim from what I have in my little notes, because I always write down the things he shows me so I can remember them. I can go back to them for my personal walk. So I wrote, through the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the peace offering unto Yahuwah, through whom we are reconciled or atoned for unto Yahuwah. I don't know why I wrote it like that, because that doesn't make any sense. But Yahuwah had me to break down some things. So it's through the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. And so the references for those, Yashayahu 53 and 5, Hebrews 9 and 12, Kappa Ahad, which is 1 Peter 2 and 24, who is, and please, by all means, go through and read these for yourself. I probably will read some of these on my own in just a minute, but if I don't get to it, then these are your references. And he is our peace offering. So Yahuwah has showed me through Leviticus chapter 3, chapter 7, chapter 16, chapter 17, and then also in Romans 5 and 1 that Yahuwah is the peace offering. So I am going to go there real quick. As a matter of fact, let me go to the other scriptures first. Let's go to Isaiah. I said Isaiah 53 and 5. Okay. So Isaiah 53 and 5 says, "But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace, or our shalom, was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed." So we already know that that was a bloody thing that, he had to go through. I said Hebrews 9 and 12. It does take me a while to get to some of these, so I do apologize if you just hear me flipping. Hebrews 9 and 12 says, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the Kadash place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. And the last place that I said was 1 Peter 2 and 24. I gotta go backwards. Here we go. 1 Peter 2 and 24 says, "Who his own self bore our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, being dead to sins, should live unto righteousness, by whose stripes we were healed." And then verse 25, "For you were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and overseer of your souls." I just read down to 25 because it just made sense. All right, so now we're talking about him being the peace offering. I want to go back to Leviticus. And again, this is just what Yahuwah showed me. Leviticus chapter 3. And I'm going to read all of chapter 3. There are 17 verses, so bear with me. But it says, "If his oblation be a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offer it of the herd, whether it be a male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before Yahuwah, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the assembly. And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah, the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, that is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar upon the ascending smoke sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering unto Yahuwah be of the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offers a lamb for his offering, then shall he offer before Yahuwah. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering and kill it before the tabernacle of the assembly. And Aaron's son shall sprinkle the blood thereof round about upon the altar. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto Yahuah, the fat thereof and the whole rump. It shall he take off hard by the backbone, and the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys. It shall he take away, and the priest shall burn it upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire unto Yahuah. And if his offering be a goat, then he shall offer it before Yahuah, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of it and kill it before the tabernacle of the assembly. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood thereof upon the altar round about, and he shall offer thereof his offering, even an offering made by fire unto Yahuah, the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys. It shall he take away, and the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is Yahuwah's. It shall he be it shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that you eat neither fat nor blood. So the reason why I emphasized the blood is because of the different parts of the animal that sacrifice. So we just read, it doesn't matter what type of animal it is. The 2 kidneys and the caul above the liver are 2 of the things that are supposed to be cut away from the animal and sacrificed, right? And I'm going to get to the reason why that's significant in a minute. I just want you to hold that in your head, because there's a reason why I'm emphasizing the blood of Yahusha being our redeeming factor. All right. Why it was necessary that he had to sacrifice himself for our reconciliation unto his Father. So keep that in mind. So that was Leviticus chapter 3. And then Leviticus 7, 11 to 21 reads, I'm trying to cut down on the amount of noise I have. And this is the Torah of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which he shall offer unto Yahuah. If he offers it for thanksgiving, then he shall offer with the sacrifice of the thanksgiving matzah cakes mingled with oil, and matzah wafers anointed with oil, and cakes mingled with oil of fine flour fried. Besides the cakes, he shall offer for his offering chametz with the sacrifice of thanksgiving of his peace offerings. And of it he shall offer out of the whole oblation for a heave offering unto Yahuah, and it shall be the priest that sprinkles the blood of the peace offerings. And the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanksgiving shall be eaten the same day that it is offered. He shall not leave any of it until the morning. But if the sacrifice of his offering be a vow or a voluntary offering, it shall be eaten the same day that he offers his sacrifice. And on the morrow also the remainder of it shall be eaten. But the remainder of the flesh of the sacrifice on the 3rd day shall be burnt with fire. And if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings be eaten at all on the 3rd day, it shall not be accepted, neither shall it be imputed unto him that offers it. It shall be an abomination, and the soul that eats of it shall bear his iniquity. So you're going to bear your own iniquity if you eat it on that 3rd day. And the flesh that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten. It shall be burnt with fire. And as for the flesh, all that be clean shall eat thereof. So when it says, and as for the flesh, all that be clean shall eat thereof. So if you are someone who is considered clean by Yahuah, you shall eat thereof. That is what that is saying. This is how you know. But the soul that eats of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offerings that pertain unto Yahuah, having his uncleanness upon him. So this is how you know that you have to have had your uncleanness removed. That's how you know that he's talking about all that is clean being the people eating the sacrifice, okay? But the soul that eats of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offerings that pertain unto Yahuah, having his uncleanness upon him, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. So if you don't have your uncleanness removed by the blood of the sacrifice, by the atoning sacrifice of Yahushua, you'll be cut off from your people. So that means that you can be an Israelite and be cut off from the Israelites because you weren't washed clean by the blood of Yahushua. Moreover, the soul that shall touch any unclean thing, as the uncleanness of man, or any unclean beast, or any abominable unclean thing, and eat of the flesh of the sacrifice of the peace offerings which pertain unto Yahuah, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. So again, the peace offering is Yahushua. And again, there's a lot of things that I can say that Yahuah has revealed to me, but I'm only going to speak those things which is necessary for this particular video. So just understand, I'm not going to give everything that he told me to say for this video. So there's two types of peace offerings. Starting at verse 15, you see that the first one is of thanksgiving, and you eat that on the same day. So what Yahuah revealed to me, that's basically you coming into the truth. Well, you waking up to the truth. You knowing that Yahushua is Yahushua. He's the kinsman redeemer. He's the king. He's the son of Yahuah. And then you give thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Like, you give thanksgiving unto Yahuah. Like, you're praising Yahuah for his son and what his son did for us, right? But then you have another one that's listed in verse 16, apologies. The vow offering, or the voluntary offering. So now this is something that you choose to offer, and you got 2 days to eat this offering. But on the third day, if you eat of it, it is an abomination. And I know I have already kind of done this, but I'm going to go back through it. But this voluntary or vow offering or free will offering, because you're offering at your own free will, kind of goes back to Deuteronomy 23:21-23. When you shall vow a vow unto Yahuah Eluah, you shall not slack to pay it, for Yahuah Eluah will surely require it of you, and it will be sin in you. But if you shall forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in you. That which is gone out of your lips you shall guard and perform, even a free will offering, according as you have vowed unto Yahuah Eluah, which you have promised with your mouth. So Yahuah is saying that if you vow to do something unto him, and then you take your time doing it, hence you eat the vow offering on the third day, you're taking your time at that point. It's sin, because you said you were going to do something and you still haven't done it yet. Whereas if you don't say that you're going to do something, right? But then if you wind up doing it, okay. And I will put on the screen the reference, because I can never remember it off the top of my head. But when Yahushua's telling the story about the father that had the two sons, the father that had the vineyard and the two sons, and he said he went to the first son and he was like, yo, I need you to do something. And the son was like, I ain't finna do it. But then he turned around and did it anyway. Then he came to the second son and he told him to do whatever. And the son was like, I'm going to do it. But then he didn't do it. And Yahushua posed the question to those that were listening. He said, who do you think was righteous? And they were like, well, the first son. He was like, yeah, because the first son, even though he didn't vow to do what the father told him to do, he still did it. He didn't vow to do it, but he still did it. Whereas the second son vowed to do it and he didn't do it. He was slack to pay it, right? So it was a sin. And so when you go back to Leviticus chapter 7, that's the reason why, according to what Yahuah has shown me, that on the third day is an abomination. And he said the soul that eats of it shall bear his iniquity. So you will now bear your own iniquity because of your disobedience, is what he is saying. Okay. Yahushua is the peace offering. I'm getting there. I promise you I'm getting there. It's just going to be long. All right. So the next one is Leviticus 16. I may or may not read this entire chapter. Let's see what do you want me to read, Yahuah? No, I'm not. I'm not going to read this entire thing. But what I will say is, please go read it yourself. It's basically Masha giving Aaron instructions on how to make atonement for himself before he goes out and does the sacrifice and make atonement for Yasharal. And this just goes back to what Yahushua was saying. First, take the plank out of your eye before you could see fit to take the speck out of your brother's. So this is literal Torah. That was Torah that he was talking about. And it comes from Leviticus chapter 16, where Masha is giving Aaron instructions to make atonement for himself first in his household, and then going and making atonement for all of Yasharal. And he tells him what animals to use and so on and so forth. And the animal that is used is the bullock. Okay. So it's an ascending smoke sacrifice. If you go back to Leviticus chapter 1, you will see that that whole chapter is talking about the ascending smoke sacrifice. And the first animal that it says to sacrifice is the bullock. And you can look this up. If you go look it up, a bullock is an ox. And we know from the ancient pictograph of the Hebrew language, we know that the alap is represented by the ox head. So very briefly, I'll run this through. Perhaps if Yahuah allows me to, I'll elaborate in another video. But for the sake of time, I will just briefly run through what he showed me about this. So in Leviticus chapter 1, verses 1 to 9, it talks about the bullock or the ox being sacrificed. And some key things is that it's the inward parts of the legs that have to be washed. Apologies, it's the inwards and the legs that need to be washed with water. And then they're burnt up on the altar, right? And so Yahuah said to me, he said, that's Yahusha. Again, it's a bullock. And then verses 10 to 13 says that it could be a sheep or a goat from the flocks. Now we know that when Yahuah talks to us about the sheep and the sheep and the goat, spiritually the goat are the wicked, the sheep are the righteous. But we know in Yasharal, the tares and the wheat will grow together. So it could be either or. You're either going to be sacrificed into the lake of fire, or you're going to be sacrificed unto righteousness. But either way, you're going to be sacrificed. So what he was showing me is verses 10 to 13 is addressing Yasharal. That's Yasharal. And if you go and look at verse 13 and compare it to verse 9, you'll see that sacrifice is prepared the exact same way. The inwards and the legs are washed and it's burnt on the altar, and it says it's a sweet savor unto Yahuah. So then when you get to verses 14 to 17, you see something different. This is the fowls and the turtle doves and the pigeons that you're offering, right? And you do not prepare these offerings the same way as the other two. This one, you have to wring off the head. So I asked Yahuah what that significance was, and he said those are the Gentiles being grafted in. And this is why he said that. You have to wring off the head. Well, any deity that man is listening to is that person's head. You are a slave to whoever, or a servant to whoever you are listening to, right? So if you're listening to Baal, that is your head. If you are listening to Kamosh, that is your head. If you're listening to Malak, that is your head. You see where I'm going with this? So you have to wring off their head, all right? Which symbolizes them denouncing the fallen angels that they are currently serving underneath, according to the culture they grew up in. And then you prepare them on the altar to be burnt up. So they are denouncing the head that they were formerly serving under, so that Yahuah can now be their head, right? They can come into Yasharal, and Yahusha would be their king, Yahuah would be their father. Now again, this is what Yahuah was telling me, and I'm sharing it with you. Okay? So when you see Leviticus 16 talking about the ascending smoke sacrifice, it's so much more deeper than that, because Aaron has to give this ascending smoke sacrifice before for himself and his household, before he does it for all of Yasharal, right? So what this is showing is a lot that is showing right there. First and foremost, Aaron is the high priest. Yahusha is the high priest. So what it's showing us is that Yahusha did it, so now we have to do it, right? And then it's also showing us that we are the sacrifice. We are the sacrifice according to Romans 12:1, right? 12:1 and 2. When Shaul was talking about being living sacrifices, holy and Kadash and acceptable unto Yahusha, which is our reasonable service. This is what he was talking about, okay? So the next thing it's showing us is Aaron has to give this sacrifice first. He has to give himself to Yahuah as a sacrifice first before he can go forth and help other people do it. Help other people come and have atonement through Yahusha. And that goes back to what Yahusha said in Matthew chapter 7. You got to take the plank out of your eye first before you can see fit to take speck out of your brother's, right? So it's showing Yahusha doing it first, then all of Yasharal doing it. Then it's reiterating it by showing Aaron doing it, and then him going and doing it for the rest of Yasharal. You in order for you not to be a hypocrite, you got to do it first. So it's very significant. That's a very significant chapter. But again, we're talking about peace offering. So I will move on to Leviticus 17 and 11. And I had to slow it down because I could feel myself getting excited, because just when I start sharing these things, I get excited because I'm not this smart, you guys. Like, I'm just really excited to share this with you. So, Husa, I'm going to take it down a little bit. All right. So, Leviticus 17 and 11, and please go back and read all of this. I'm just going to read this one verse. For the soul of the flesh is in the blood. Remember, I wanted you to keep that in mind with the blood. For the soul of the flesh is in the blood. He and I have given it to you. He and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls, for it is the blood of him that makes an atonement in the soul. So it was necessary for it to be the blood, because the life of the animal is in the blood. That's why we were told not to eat blood or fat, right? We're not supposed to eat the life of the animal that we're sacrificing. Now, that makes a lot of sense when you think about the fact that we are the animals, okay? But I digress. I'll leave it right there. So it was necessary for it to be the blood, because there's life in his blood. We are now consuming the life of Yahusha when we accept his sacrifice for us, when we come into agreement or come into peace, when we're reconciled unto Yahuah through Yahusha. We are accepting his life upon ours, right? Receiving his life force. And then the last thing I said was Romans 5:1, because this is just what Yahuah used to confirm to me that this is exactly, what I was hearing him say was what he was saying. So Shaul says, therefore, being justified by faith, we have shalom with Yahuah through our Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, by whom we have access by faith into the grace wherein we stand and rejoice in hope of the glory of Yahuah. So I kept going. Please go read that entire chapter. But verse 1 specifically, we do not have peace with Yahuah except through Yahusha. We literally saw that. This is what Shaul being a former Pharisee who was a teacher of the law, said that we have peace with Yahuah through our Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. He's the peace offering. And I just want to throw in Matthew chapter 5, when it says that blessed are the peacemakers, right? I want to just say that what Yahuah showed me is he is not talking about docile doormats. What he is saying is those that faithfully witness unto Yahusha so that other people can hear the truth. And then when that person that hears the truth accepts the truth and then turns around and is reconciled unto Yahuah through Yahusha, that is what he means by we just brought peace to that person by telling them the truth about Yahusha so that they can enter into peace with Yahuah. Peacemaker. We helped them make peace with Yahuah by telling them the truth about Yahusha, who is the peace offering. That's what it means to be the peacemaker. It does not mean to be docile or a doormat. It's not what that means. Again, this is what Yahuah has told me about that. So now that I have shown you that he is the peace offering, please take all this back to Yahuah, okay? In prayer. And it's through his blood. And that's how we are reconciled and atoned to Yahuah, okay? So with Yahusha's blood, we are sealed into covenant with Yahuah. I said that on purpose, okay? Sealed. Yahusha's blood is the seal. Just like in Shemath, Exodus 12, I want to say it is. I want to say it's Shemath, Exodus 12. But just like the blood was a seal or a sign of the covenant, so when Yahuah sent the destroyer to kill the firstborn of all man and beast in the land of Mitzrayim, those who had sealed their house with the blood of the lamb were passed over. Right? It's a seal. So Yahuah wanted me to read Deuteronomy 6:4-9. We all know the Shema, but he wanted me to read it. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuah Eluah, Yahuah is one. And you shall love Yahuah Eluah with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. So verse 8 is where I really want to hone in on. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. So what Yahuah showed me about this, let's address the frontlets between the eyes first. So behind your eyes, you have an organ called a brain, your mind. That's where your mind, your consciousness is, right? So think about what Joshua said in Joshua 1, verse 8. Meditate on the word day and night. Matter of fact, I think he said something a little more profound than that. He said, this book of the Torah shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may guard to do according to all that is written therein. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success. You know what I'm saying? But meditate day and night. And then didn't Yahuah say, he shall keep you in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on him? So if your mind is stayed on him, it's because you're meditating on his word day and night. And so you are in perfect peace because Yahusha is the peace offering, right? Prayerfully, this is making sense. So frontlets between your eyes, it's a sign that the word went from your heart. Because remember, in verse 6 it says that these words shall be, that I command you this day, shall be in your heart. So the heart, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, the lips speak, right? But it's what's in your heart that you're meditating on. So we already see in verse 6 that it's supposed to be in your heart. If it's in your heart, then it's going to be in your mind, constantly on your mind. And then a sign upon your hand, whatever is constantly on your mind is what you're going to do. This is also the reason why the mark of the beast is a spiritual mark. The true mark of the beast is a spiritual mark. There will be a fake one that is meant to deceive people. It's going to be in the physical. But the true spiritual mark of the beast Notice it's on the forehead and on the hand, because it's the perversion of the seal of Yahuah, the sign of Yahuah, right? So in this case, you're meditating on the doctrines of devils. And so that is what you're doing with your hands. You're working those works, because that's what you're always meditating on. That is the true mark of the beast. All right. And remember, at the beginning of Deuteronomy 6:4-9, Yahuah says, "Hear, O Yasharal." So he's commanding us to listen to him and hear his voice, right? That's the only way you're going to have these words in your heart, and it's frontless between your eyes, and a sign upon your hand, right? A seal. Then I want to go to Ephesians chapter 1, 13-14. It always takes me a while to find things in this particular. There it is. Ephesians 1, 13-14. In whom you also trusted. After that you heard the word of truth, the basarah of your salvation, in whom also after that you believed. You were sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh of promise, which is the earnest of your inheritance until the redemption of the purchased possession, unto the praise of his glory. We were sealed with Ruach HaKodesh. That is a sign that we're in covenant with him, because you don't receive Ruach HaKodesh. You're not immersed in Ruach HaKodesh unless you come under the covering of Yahusha. Folks that are out there not under the covering of Yahusha do not have his Ruach. I also want to go to Ephesians 4:30. And grieve not the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuah, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. 2 Corinthians 1:22. There it is, 2 Corinthians 1:22. Who has also sealed us and given the earnest of the Ruach in our hearts. And again, just write these things down and go and read the entire chapters. I'm just reading portions for the sake of time. Romans 8:9 reads, but you are not in the flesh, but in the Ruach, if so be that the Ruach Yahuah dwell in you. Now if any man has not the Ruach, he is not his. So again, if you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, you're not Yahuah's, which means you're not sealed unto Yahuah, right? Then you have Acts 2:1-5. So this is when the Limud Yam were first immersed with the Ruach. And when the day of Shavuot was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place, and suddenly there came a sound from the Shamayam as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting, and there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them, and they were all filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, and began to speak with other tongues as the Ruach gave them utterance. I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to go to verse 5. And then verse 38 in the same chapter. Then Kapar said unto them, repent and be baptized, or repent and be immersed, apologies, every one of you in the name of Yahuah for the remission of sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. And Revelation 7:1-4. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Yahuah. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Yahuah in their foreheads. You see, remember? It's all coming together. The seals in the forehead. Okay. Then we're gonna go to chapter 9, verse 4, and I'm just gonna read verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men who have not the seal of Yahuah in their foreheads. So this is when the locusts come out of the smoke of the furnace, which is in the bottomless pit. This is when they come up out of there, and they were commanded to only torment those people that did not have the seal of Yahuah on their foreheads. And then we know about the 144,000. That's Revelation 14:1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their foreheads. Okay, that's still a seal. And then we have, is that supposed to be First John? I'm trying to figure out what I wrote. I want to say it's John 6:27. Is it John 6:27, or is it First John? I might be wrong. No, give me a second. Nope, it's John 6:27. Labor not for the food which perishes, but perishes, before that food which endures unto everlasting life, which the Son of Adam shall give unto you. For him has Yahuah the Father sealed. So we're still talking about seals. And there's a whole bunch more that I could probably read, but I'm not going to. But I just wanted to emphasize the sealing, okay? And I know this is going to all run together in a minute, all right? So Yahuah was showing me that keeping the Day of Atonement or Yom Kapar involves offering the peace offering of thanksgiving, which is why it's one day. And it involves fasting or afflicting our souls, okay? So when we enter into Yom Kippur, we are offering the peace offering of thanksgiving unto Yahuah. All right, one day. It's one day, just like the Thanksgiving, just like the peace offering of thanksgiving that we read in Leviticus 7, verse 15. It's one day. That's what we're offering to Yahuah. And when you look at how you're supposed to prepare these offerings, so Leviticus chapter 3 told you how to prepare the offering. So first thing you see is the kidneys are sacrificed, right? They're cut away from the animal, which is significant because the kidneys filter your blood. The kidneys remove waste products, urea, creatinine, uric acid, and they're all expelled through your urine. The kidneys control the body's fluid levels by helping maintain proper hydration and blood pressure. The kidneys regulate electrolyte levels like sodium, potassium, calcium in the blood. The kidneys stimulate red blood cell production in the bone marrow. The kidneys activate vitamin D, which is your calcium absorption and bone health. The kidneys regulate blood pressure by constricting or dilating blood vessels. And I just want to go back up to the electrolytes. The reason why the electrolytes are important is because that's essential for muscle function, nerve conduction, and bone health, okay? And this is all what's being sacrificed, right? And regulates blood pressure by constricting or dilating the blood vessels. It removes toxins. They remove toxins from the blood, such as heavy metals and certain medications. And then when you go look at the liver, so the liver, it detoxifies the body by filtering and removing harmful substances from the bloodstream. When it comes to your metabolism, it breaks down nutrients from food into energy and other essential substances. It produces bile, which is a fluid that helps digest fats in the small intestine. It stores essential nutrients like vitamins, iron, and copper. It produces proteins essential for blood clotting. There's a thing called protein synthesis, which is important for immune response and maintaining fluid balance. and it regulates blood sugar by storing and releasing glucose, which is sugar, as needed. So it's not the liver per se that is being sacrificed, it's the call above the liver. And when you look this up, you see all kinds of weird things, but from what I could get it's this membrane called the gastrohepatic omentum or fatty covering. So gastrohepatic omentum or fatty covering. So it's something that covers the liver, supposedly. But if you listen to what those organs actually do for your body, especially both of them filter things out of your body, filter waste products out of your body, and that's what's being sacrificed. And again, the reason why I'm saying use, because we should all have the understanding that we are the living sacrifice. We are the sacrifices. We are the sheep, right? So with that being said, Yahuah is telling us to sacrifice 2 vital organs for filtering toxins out of our body. But that makes sense because Yahusha's blood cleanses us, so we no longer need the liver and the kidneys. We know we don't need those. We are clean from the inside out by being washed by the word, which is, by being washed by the word. Yahusha's blood cleanses us. We don't need ours anymore. I found that very interesting. And then when it comes to fat, because that's another thing that is sacrificed from the peace offering, is the fat. The fat helps regulate your body's temperature, breaks down energies, so on and so forth. But it's, again, we no longer need that. Our body is no longer ours, but the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, right? And we are new creations. So the old things, the old man has passed away, and we have become a new creation, a new creature in Hamashiach. So we no longer need those things that kept us functioning properly in the past as the old man, because we now have Yahusha, who makes us into a new creature that doesn't need these things, because he provides these things for us through his Ruach HaKodesh. Our own kidneys and liver are obsolete, useless. His blood is the atoning sacrifice of the sacrificial lamb, okay? And then confession and repentance is something that Yahuah told me that we are supposed to be doing on Yom Kapar. If you go back up in Leviticus chapter 7, so before it gets to the peace offering, it's talking about the sin and trespass offering. This is 1 through 7. Likewise, this is the Torah of the trespass offering. It is most Kadesh, in the place where they kill the ascending smoke offering. So again, we are the ascending smoke offering. Yahusha was the first. Now we are the ascending smoke offering. Okay. So in the place where they kill the ascending smoke offering, shall they kill the trespass offering, and the blood thereof shall he sprinkle round about upon the altar. And he shall offer of it all the fat thereof, the rump and the fat that covers the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the caul that is above the liver with the kidneys, it shall he take away, and the priest shall burn them upon the altar for an offering made by fire unto Yahuah. It is a trespass offering. Every male among the priests shall eat thereof. It shall be eaten in the Kadash place. It is most Kadash. As the sin offering is, so is the trespass offering. There is one Torah for them. The priest that makes atonement therewith shall have it. The priest that makes atonement therewith shall have it. Who is our priest? Who is our high priest? Yahusha. This is Yahusha's. Okay? And it says this before it goes down into the peace offering. There's some oblations and stuff that's talked about in between, but the trespass and the sin offering are offering in the same place that the ascending smoke sacrifice is offered, and the ascending smoke sacrifice is offered in the same manner that that the peace offering is offered. The exact same organs are cut off of the animal, right? You know why it's in the exact same place and the exact same way? Because it's us. And Yahuah showed me that the sin offering is your confession. You remember 1 John 1 and 8, where it says that, if we say that we're without sin, we make a liar out of him. I think it's 8 to 10. But, we have to, matter of fact, let me go there real quick instead of trying to summarize things. 1 John chapter 1, 8 to 10. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar and his word is not in us. So the sin offering is confession. Then the trespass offering is repentance. This is what Yahuah showed me. And he said that the reason why there's one law for the both of them is because you cannot have one without the other. He said that you cannot repent if you don't confess, because true repentance is you no longer doing the sin. But if you haven't admitted to having sinned, how are you truly repenting? This is what Yahuah said to me. So the sin and trespass offering that's offered in the exact same place that the sending smoke sacrifice offering is offering, in the exact manner that the peace offering is offering, that is what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be confessing and repenting on Yom Kapar. Now, mind you, this is something we're supposed to be doing all throughout the year, but I'm just specifically talking about how Yahuah told me we are supposed to keep this day. So fast, don't do any work, offer the peace offering of thanksgiving, which is one day, which is Yahusha. You know what I'm saying? So you're remembering Yahusha and how he is the atoning sacrifice that reconciled us unto Yahuah through peace and our faith in Yahusha, right? These are the things that you're supposed to be doing on Yom Kapar. Meditating on the word day and night, right? And all of this is us cleaning the inside of the cup, right? So Matthew 23, 25 to 28, Yahushua addresses this. Woe unto you, scribes and parashayam, hypocrites, for you make clean the outside of the cup and the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. And you blind parashay, clean first that which is in the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and parashayam, hypocrites, for you are like unto white sepulchres, and indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones, and of all uncleanness. So you haven't been clean. Even so, you also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. You are full of you haven't been clean, and you try to tell other folks go get clean. You haven't offered your peace offering. You haven't offered your ascending smoke sacrifice. You haven't offered your sin and trespass offering, but you try and tell me to. That's what Yahushua is saying to them. You got to clean the inside of your cup, i.e., you got to let my blood wash you clean. And I'll leave you with this. Ephesians chapter 5, 25. I might start at 23. Let me go here real quick. Wrong chapter. I'll start at 22. There's a reason why I said 22. Women, submit yourselves unto your own men as Yahuah. For the man is the head of the woman, even as Mashiach is the head of the called out assembly, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the called out assembly is subject unto Mashiach, so let the women be to their own men in everything. Men, love your women, even as Mashiach also loved the called out assembly and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious called out assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be kadosh and without blemish. Right? Yahusha washed and cleansed. Well, Yahusha sanctified and cleansed his bride with the washing of the water by the word. And the reason why that is so significant is because if you go back to what I was saying in Leviticus chapter 1 about the ascending smoke sacrifice, verse 9 and verse 13 both mention that those sacrifices, so verse 9 is referring to Yahusha, verse 13 is referring to Yahuah. I'll read it. But his inwards and his legs shall he wash in water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar to be an ascending smoke sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuah. I just read verse 9. If you go read verse 13, it says the exact thing verbatim. The inwards and the legs were washed by water. And so I said that was going to be the last thing, and then Yahuah was like, one more thing. So then you go to John chapter 13. And Yahuah 13 is where Yahusha washes his Lamuda Yam's feet. She wants you to hear what he says, okay? I'm going to read, matter of fact, I'm going to read from 1 to 17, so bear with me. Now before the feast of the Pesach, or the Pesach, when Yahusha knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Yehuda Iscariot, Shimon's son, to betray him, Yahusha, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from Yahuah and went to Yahuah, he rose from supper and laid aside his garments, and took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the Lamudiyam's feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then came to Shimon Kappa, and Kappa said unto him, Adonai, do you wash my feet? Yahusha answered and said unto him, What I do you know not now, but you shall know hereafter. Kappa said unto him, You shall never wash my feet. Yahusha answered him, If I wash you not, you have no part with me. If I wash you not, you have no part with me. Shimon Kappa said unto him, Adonai, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yahusha said to him, He that is washed not, save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit, and you are clean, but not all. For he knew who should betray him. Therefore he said, You are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet, and had taken his garments, and was sat down again, he said unto them, Know you what I have done unto you? You call me teacher and Yahuah, and you say, Well, for so I am. If I then, your Yahuah and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash another's feet. For I have given you an example, that you should do as I have done to you. Aman, aman, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his master, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy are you if you do them. So when Yahusha is talking to Kappa, he's like, you don't know what I'm doing, but you'll know later on what I'm doing. And then he let them know that I've already washed the rest of you. Now I just got to wash your feet, right? Remember what I just read in Leviticus chapter 1, verse 9. And I also told you it was in verse 13 as well. The inwards were washed and the legs. The feet are considered part of the legs Hebraically. Yahusha washed their feet because he was preparing them as the ascending smoke sacrifice as the high priest of Yahuah. He was preparing them. And then we see in Acts chapter 2, when Ruach HaKodesh comes as tongues of fire. The ascending smoke sacrifice is a burnt offering. There's a reason why Ruach HaKodesh appeared as fire and not the dove that he appeared as when the Ruach came down and lighted upon Yahusha. When the Ruach came upon the Lumudayam, the Ruach came as fire, because they were the ascending smoke sacrifice. Yahusha was preparing them for that Ruach, for the Ruach HaKodesh on Shabuah, as the ascending smoke sacrifice on Shabuah. And then he goes a step further and he said, if I wash your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. So just like when Aaron in Leviticus chapter 16 had to do it for himself and then go to the rest of Yasharal and do it. And what do I mean? Do what? Prepare the sacrifice for atonement. So this whole time Yahusha is walking with his Lamudayam, he's washing their insides. He's cleansing and sanctifying him, like was said in Ephesians chapter 5, and washing them by the water, which is the word. So he's cleansing their insides. Last thing he's got to do is cleanse their feet. So what he's telling us to do is we're supposed to do the same thing to our brethren. Iron sharpens iron, right? We're supposed to go to the lost sheep of Yasharal, right? And understand when I'm saying go to the lost sheep of Yasharal, I'm saying it under the understanding that anybody who is considered a natural blood Gentile, but Yahuah knew from the foundation of the earth that they would come into his kingdom, I'm talking about them too. Go to the lost sheep of Yasharal. That's who I'm talking about. And be a peacemaker. Wash their feet. He was not talking about actually washing their feet. Although if you want to actually wash somebody's feet, you can. I've done it before. It's nothing wrong with it. But spiritually washing someone's feet is preparing them to be an ascending smoke sacrifice so that they can receive Ruach HaKodesh. Sitting with them, walking with them. Ruach HaKodesh is our ultimate teacher. That is our teacher. He is our teacher. Ruach HaKodesh is our teacher. We just walk with each other. Iron sharpens iron for a reason. So if we have questions, or I don't know if you guys have ever sat and had a conversation with someone else, I'm sure you have. When you talk to your brothers and sisters in Mashiach, it's kind of like when Shaul was amongst the prophets. When King Shaul was amongst the prophets, he wasn't a prophet, but when he came amongst the prophets, he started prophesying. It's the same thing that happens. You come around someone that Yahuah is in the process of waking up, and you start conversing with them about the truth. Mind you, Yahuah is already in the process of waking them up. So there's already things that he started to show and reveal to them, so on and so forth. And then you come with another piece that is testifying to the Ruach, that is testifying to their hearts, right? And they're starting to be like, yeah, you're washing their feet. You're preparing them as an ascending smoke sacrifice. That's what you're doing. And Yom Kippur is us giving thanksgiving, offering the peace offering of thanksgiving unto Yahuah. And the peace offering of thanksgiving, Yahusha being the peace offering, it's remembering the atoning blood that brings us into peace with Yahuah. That is Yom Kapar. That's what Yahuah showed me as far as spiritually keeping that feast day. He showed me some things about the Feast of Trumpets as well. The Shupar, obviously a lot of us have actual physical Shupars. I got one. I just ordered one for my son. So, we blow them. I blew mine. But it's really a crying out. That's what it is. It's a crying out. The same way our ancestors cried out to Yahuah when Pharaoh wouldn't let them go, when the Egyptians were stepping on their neck, making their jobs harder. there was a crying out. That was the Feast of Trumpets. So if you don't have a shupar, understand that you crying out to Yahuah is the equivalent, spiritually, the equivalent of you blowing a shupar. Okay? All right. That's all I have in my notes for right now. So I thank you all, to whoever is still here and listening. Again, I have my email address available in the description of this channel. By all means, reach out. I will take anything that is presented to me to Yahuah and see what is said, because again, iron sharpens iron. So something that somebody says to me might be another piece of the puzzle that makes me go, aha, you know what I'm saying? And I'm all for it, because I'm super excited. I have been praying for Yahuah to teach me, me and my household. I've been asking him to teach us what his law, statutes, commandments are, and how to keep them in his ruach, and for him to enable us to do so in Yahushua's name. I've been praying that, and he's slowly but surely started to reveal some things to me, and so that's all I'm doing. He's showing me something, I'm telling you guys, because I'm super excited. You know what I'm saying? When the people, we saw on the Basara when people were being healed, and Yahushua was like, yo, don't tell nobody that I did this. Just go to the priest and give them the offering. And then the very next thing you see them did, they basically didn't hear none of that. They just, yo, let me tell you about what this dude just did for me. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're so super excited. You know, I get it. I get it. So thank you for sticking with me while I do my best to explain this. It makes sense in my head. It's hard to get out according to how I received it. But I just pray that Ruach HaKodesh allows you to understand whatever it is I just told you. Okay. All right, you guys. Much ahava and shalom.